If you're a landscape photographer and you're looking for the kind of incredible locations with dramatic mountains, incredible waterfalls, amazing skies, but without the hordes, without a long line or queue just to be able to get to the view site, the kind of place that is just out of this world beautiful, but without the tourists, then I'd like to introduce you to Lesotho. This is the Mountain Kingdom. Lesotho is a roughly 30,300 square kilometer mountain kingdom, or 11,000 something square miles, situated within the borders of South Africa at the tip of the African continent. It is a unique country geologically, simply by dint of the fact that it is the only country in the world that has its lowest point higher than 1,000 meters above sea level. Just based on that alone, it is a unique place to visit. It is an incredible country with a very low population density as well. So you can go into the mountains and there is just no one there. It is an amazing experience. The number of tourists that go into Lesotho on a monthly basis are extraordinarily small, and most of them are not actually tourists, but it's cross-border travel between South Africa and Lesotho by predominantly residents and some South Africans. So the parks and the areas that you visit are quiet. Regular viewers of this channel will know that I am a commercial photographer and also a tour leader and instructor for Nature's Light photographic travels. And Lesotho is one of the places we go to, so I thought I would discuss the locations that we photograph and why they are so amazing. Our regular Photographing the Mountain Kingdom workshop basically travels to two locations within Lesotho. One is Setlabatebe National Park, which is on the border of South Africa and Lesotho. The name derives from Sesotho, Shield of the Plateau, which is essentially a plateau that stretches out from the Drakensberg proper on the border of South Africa and Lesotho. And it is known specifically for its sandstone formations that formed there around, I suppose, 190 million years ago during the early Jurassic period. What makes this particular area unique is that the rest of the Drakensberg Maluti Transfrontier National Park is all capped by the basaltic Drakensberg caps itself. Now, that basalt layer was formed around 183 million years ago through lava upwelling and the breakup of Gondwana land. So this little area that we go to, Setlabatebe, is a plateau that stretches out from that and is capped essentially by these incredible sandstone formations. Now, these formations are not just a geological feature, they also feature humanity's history. For thousands of years, this has also been home to hunter-gatherers, the San people of southern Africa, and you can see evidence of this through some of the rock paintings that are found in overhangs and in caves in the area itself. More recently though, the Basotho people have used the terrain for grazing, summer grazing in particular, and you can see evidence of basically homesteads right up until the late 1960s in the rock faces and the walls and in the kraals and buildings that were built into the actual sandstone overhangs of the national park itself. So Setlabatebe is extraordinary, so extraordinary that in 1970 it was proclaimed as Lesotho's first national park by the first Prime Minister of Lesotho, Leopold Jonathan, who would travel there regularly on his off time because he found the area so beautiful. And in fact, the only existent lodge at the time was Jonathan's Lodge, named after the Prime Minister for his various forays into the area. It sits at the top of the little Drakensberg itself, so in the foothills of the Drakensberg, at around between 2,200 to 2,600 meters above sea level. The size of the park itself is around 68 square kilometers, and it was proclaimed a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2013, not just because of its unique geology, but also because of its biodiversity and because of its very storied anthropological history, from hunter-gatherers through to Stone Age pastoralists, all the way through to the more recent history of pastoralism and the important grasslands that we used as grazing for the Basotho herds, right up until the end of the 1960s. We stay right on the edge of the sandstone formations, close to where Jonathan's Lodge used to be, and is now you just see the shell of the old lodge there, because there is very little place to stay in the area. Although on the other side of the mountains there is a lodge run by the community, it is far easier to actually just camp in the area where you're allowed to camp and thereby get access to these incredible formations in the early morning and the late afternoon and catch the best light of Setlabatebe itself. For me personally, the end of summer is probably the best time to be able to visit this area because of the extraordinary summer storms that just light up the sky with iridescent clouds and amazing rainbows, and just this extraordinary lush light that falls out over the green, green, green grass that carpets the edge of the Drakensberg at this time of year. Importantly, this is a summer rainfall area as well, which means that the rivers are swollen. The Orange River itself is absolutely pumping water down from the Senku in its highlands all the way through to the border in South Africa. And importantly, the rivers themselves are creating these incredible waterfalls, which is why we also travel to Semonkong, or the place of smoke. Now, this is a really extraordinary village, high, high, high up in the mountains. Semonkong sits at 2,200 meters, or just around 7,200 feet above sea level. You have to cross over mountain passes of over 2,800 meters just to be able to get there. Importantly, it is called the place of smoke because of the mist that is caused by the nearby Maluti Falls. Now, Maluti Falls are extraordinary, one of the most beautiful waterfalls in all of Africa, in my opinion. The falls themselves plummet a full 192 meters from the top through to the bottom, and they are one of the tallest single drop waterfalls in all of Africa. It's also home to the world record holding highest commercially operated abseil of 204 meters, run by the Semonkong Lodge, which is actually where we stay when we go and visit this particular waterfall. The name Maluti means the little girl's tears, and refers back to local folklore in the Sesotho language of the sound of the reverberating echoes that you get down at the base of the Maluti gorge itself that the falls flow into. And there is this constant rumble and thunder that you hear from the falls themselves. It is just mind-bogglingly beautiful and an extraordinary experience looking out across the gorge to this amazing waterfall. The Nature's Light workshop that we lead to Lesotho basically spends its time between Setlabatebe on the eastern side of the mountains, and then through to the interior, and spends the second half at Semonkong and Maluti Falls. You can expect to photograph extraordinary mountain ranges, the scene of Devil's Knuckles peaks in the distance overlooking KwaZulu-Natal, as well as Setlabatebe and the plateau that it lies on. Massive mountain ranges that we drive along and beside, following the Orange River through to Semonkong in the center of the country, and then the Maluti Gorge itself. So you are likely to photograph Lamachaya as they fly down the gorge up against the backdrop of the waterfall. You'll see the Basotho wearing their traditional blankets and their quintessential Basotho cap, riding ponies out in the mountains as they follow their herds or travel between the villages. It is an incredible location where you are likely to come away with some extraordinary photographs of truly unique landscapes. And what's really exciting is it's the kind of place where you are there on your own. Walking through the tall grass beside some of these abandoned settlements is just amazing. There is a kind of history that just seeps through the area itself. So this is very much a introduction to this extraordinary location. You can take a look at the tour dates that I will put in the comments section down below, as well as visiting natureslight.co.za, which is the webpage for the various workshops that I run along with my colleagues. In terms of the workshop experience itself, you can expect to be in a small group, since I don't like traveling with large groups of photographers, because I think it detracts from the actual photographic experience, as well as just the holistic experience of being in a space like the mountains that we visit. We travel in four-wheel drive vehicles because you require a four-wheel drive to reach some of the locations that we visit, and we stay first in mountain tents up in the mountainous Setlabatebe National Park, but then later in the more comfortable stone-built lodge chalets at Semonkong Lodge in Semonkong village itself. So it's a 2-location trip over 6 nights in Lesotho. If you'd like to find out more about Nature's Light's Exploring the Mountain Kingdom photographic workshop, you can drop me an email, or you can take a look at the page on natureslight.co.za website. I would love to be able to introduce you to this extraordinary photographic location, which is still unique, still amazing, and I'm looking forward to getting back there soon. This is an extraordinary photographic adventure, and absolutely something that you should seriously consider putting onto your photographic bucket list for 2027 and beyond. This was just a short interlude between the usual tutorials that I put out. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to pop a like, subscribe if you want to find out some more, and again, if you'd like to find out more about our particular workshops, take a look at worldwideweb.natureslight.co.za to get any more information about them. Hope to see you again in a new video soon. Cheers.